Jay Horwitz,
Send
another
it.
edition of Amazing Conversations with my old friend Daniel Murphy, playoff hero, and now sports analyst. But I got a question for you. When were you more nervous? August 2nd, 2008, first at bat in the majors against Roy Oswald, or last month in February when you did some SNY work in the booth? Which was more nerve-wracking for you?
Jay, good to see you. August 2nd, definitely against Roy Oswald, but maybe I would say more nervous the second game because I had to do the work that Ron wasn't there the second game, and Ron just took over some of those defensive replays and did a great job. But yeah, I would say definitely against Roy Oswald, and more nervous the second game than the first one.
You got a single against Roy Oswald, so he came through.
The three right through the 3-4 hole. I think I think first baseman and second baseman dove and it stopped rolling before it got to the right fielder.
But
And then
how much? See, you got a call from Greg Picker from SNY.
mhm.
I mean, he came down. Is this something you want to do eventually, or just was a see what happens kind of thing?
I think it's to kind of see what happens. I've really been kind of exploring and just enjoying my baseball in different ways. And the fact that SNY and Greg and Mets and Phillies were gracious enough to reach out and Gary and Ron to work with me, it was it was a good deal of fun. It was a really learning experience. I've never observed the game from that perspective. Obviously, it was my first time, but even being kind of that high up and then trying to watch the game and watch the pitches and how they break and whether or not they're strikes, it was it was very cool to see how good Gary and Ron are at seeing the game from that vantage point. I almost probably should have cheated a little bit more and watched the TV and then come to the live action because I'm so used to watching the strike zone from the TV.
And even though you played for the Mets, you really been away for a while. You didn't really know this Met team, so you had to take a while to look at study. And in addition to the opponent, was the Cardinals and the Marlins, right? Were two
Yep,
teams,
Cardinals and Marlins.
but you had to really study the Mets too because you didn't really know a lot of the players, right?
No, no, I wasn't super familiar with like the current team as it was coming together in camp. So I got familiar with well, Frankie and Alonzo and Nimbo was in the organization while I was there, and McNeil as well too. I played with those guys, I believe, on a rehab assignment one time. But then to get used to and get to know the names like Jet Williams and Drew Gilbert, and then some of the pitchers and Christian Scott Scott yeah, that was good to kind of get my fingerprints are a little bit more in depth on the organization as a whole. And now as the season has started, it went from what there were probably 60 guys in camp when I was down there a month ago, and they got the 26 that
No, that's what
they're
I'm saying.
going
It's
with.
big trading. It's hard because you look up, you have new teams every inning. Did you keep score, Murph, or you had your own system?
I got my own system. It was a real bootleg score, like Gary kept his, and he could, recount back to it and pull up moments. I did it more from memory and just wrote down just what the player had done, kind of in a score sheet that they got me to keep track a bit.
You didn't go 4-3, 6-3, F8. You didn't do that stuff.
I try not to write those down, Jay. Those always hurt my heart. I always thought of as 6-3 as I was probably making it, not I was the one recording the out.
You got to see the first day you had Ron as a backup, so to speak, but the second day it was you and Gary alone. So that had to
hmm
be a little different for you, right?
It was different just because each replay was mine. Each replay that I did was mine to give some analysis on, and hopefully the fans enjoying it. I would also say I was certainly nervous. I think I probably was hesitant and unsure of myself on the way into the analysis and on the way out. But Gary did a great job, obviously, because he's one of the best of just kind of ushering and helping me through, and we had
He's like
some
the
good dialogue.
quarterback of the booth, right?
Yes, he is. And I found myself, interestingly enough, a bit, he'd be calling the play, and I learned something new about myself. I called the play myself in my head then, because he was doing the play. But then when I'm at like a baseball game for my oldest son, Noah, I call the play sometimes as it's happening. So I had to catch myself from time to time to not step on Gary's toes. But I think
Murph, what was the
go ahead,
biggest thing you had to adjust to? I mean, what the biggest thing you
the
had to
strike
adjust
zone.
to?
Like I
The
just
strike
couldn't.
zone?
So in order to do the analysis probably the way I would prefer. I like to know the exact pitch that had come in, like on an offensive analysis, the shape of it. So is it a curve or a fastball or a changeup? And then I can see where it was and then how they hit it. So I think what I would probably try and do is watch the ball come in the strike zone and see what it is, and then immediately from there find the action and let that unfold in front of me. Because I felt just a little bit late personally because I was trying to identify. I'm pretty sure that looked like a curveball from up here, but up here is new. And then I would see it, so I wouldn't be certain of the location. I might get the pitch right, but I'd be trying to decipher that as the
And you're
play was
far away
going
too. You're
on.
not really that close, right? I mean, it's
Well, it
still.
feels far for me. It didn't seem that far for Gary and Ron. Like Gary would call a pitch, and I'd be like, "Man, he got that really quick." And that's just from that vantage point. I didn't have that. I wasn't nearly as good.
Will you talk to Ron and Gary before the broadcast? What was the one thing they told you, Daniel?
Think, I would say mostly is kind of be yourself. Like we're here talking ball. I mean, we each have a role to do. Like that first day, Gary's going to do the play-by-play. Ron had like the pitching and defensive replays, and I did the offense. But it's really, especially in spring training, they said this is a lot more kind of banter and ball talk, and we can kind of, you can express yourself, not go on tangents and take the fans somewhere completely off the reservation, but we can have some real, ball talk in here.
So again, going on from back to the baseball field, you're going to pick up a bat again this June, Murph.
Yes, try not to kill myself.
Representing the Mets at the London series with the Phillies. It'd be you, Mike, Mookie, and David, and you have a big home run hitting contest against. Should I say the hated? No, that's not the right
Oh,
word.
it's
The infamous Chase Utley
mm,
in
somewhat
Trafalgar
loathed,
Square at London.
even though I don't mind Chase. I mean, from competing against him, like you get to know guys personally. Like so, Chase, you just get to know him. So, but I would say Mets fans would probably use hated and wouldn't be upset about it, and that's their choice. He's he burned our ball clubs many times, that's for sure. But yes, home run derby against Chase.
Murph, how do you practice for the home run? I mean, do you practice yet? I know you have to come up in May to film some stuff for the series. You excited about going to London for a couple of days?
Yeah, I've been to London probably 5 or 6 times. There won't be any soccer going on at the time because there's summer, so they'll be on break. But I've been over to watch soccer each time, and my wife enjoys it as well too. So she's going to come. So yeah, I'm very excited, humbled to be asked to represent the New York municipality as an old man in this home run derby for the Mets.
Are
So
you
I am
practicing,
excited.
Daniel?
I hit some
Are you
baseball,
practicing?
so I kind of walk around with a bat. Like I've been touching a lot of bats. Like I played a little last year, and so I still touch bats, not in any sort of competitive way that I'm getting ready for, more for play and for fun. But I've got like a Mickey Mantle bat. I've got a model. I've got a old Hank Aaron, or not Hank Aaron, sorry, Babe Ruth bat, an old Lou Gehrig bat that I mess around with. The Babe Ruth bat's massive, 35 inches,
Wow.
42 ounces.
What? I've never been to London. What is Trafalgar Square? Is it a? Have you been there before?
Yeah, I have. I'd say if I remember correctly, it's London's version of Times Square, but we're Americans and we do it brighter and bigger and better. So it's just like, and not to take anything away from London, it's a small island, so they don't really get spread out quite as much. But their version of Times Square, where there's quite a bit of happenings going on, if I'm not mistaken. I
And
could be wrong too.
in addition to the home running card, you'll be doing some clinics with the people in
Yeah,
London. So that should be a nice thing.
yeah, we'll be good. The MLBPAA Alumni Association going to run some clinics for them and get to see some of the local kids over there that are playing. It'll be curious to see because I mean, baseball itself is, I mean, somewhat we borrowed from cricket, and then there's also a children's game called rounders in England as well too. That is, you hit it with a stick, a ball, and you run the bases. But the bat is like a one-handed bat. It's smaller, so you carry the bat with you around the bases as you run them. It's a children's game. It'd be nice to see just how much the country is somewhat taken to it with the kids that we get to work out with. So I think there's a day or two of younger age, maybe 8, 10 and under, and then we're going to get a chance to work with some who are more probably 13, 14, 15 age. So we'll be curious to see how the skill
I,
set
I was trying to say, even though this is your first TV job, you've done some radio in Jacksonville, right? I remember you told me your local radio station. So this is not really totally new to you, to get from behind the microphone.
Not completely foreign. Do get a chance to get on the radio here on a local radio show called The Drill with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser. They like Gary and Ron have graciously allowed me to get some reps on their radio show that they've been doing for years, and so yeah, I've been able to get some experience creating content like we're doing right now, huh, Jay?
Yeah. Murphy, since you love the game, you try to experience other things. Like you played last year, and
Mhm.
and you got to some NFL games, right, with your son. So you're trying
Mhm.
to travel around and experience different things. Maybe you could have done where you're playing.
Yeah, so we got a chance. The Jaguars went and played Kansas City 2 years ago since they didn't make the playoffs. But yeah, I snagged my oldest son Noah, our famous opening day son, and we went to Kansas City to watch the Jaguars play second round of the postseason. The Jags lost, but it was a wonderful experience, which I think kind of segues into we got a chance to go to opening day this year. It was in Philadelphia for the Atlanta Phillies series. Um, but maybe I was just doing some scouting work for this London trip that we're going to go on. So I was scouting the Fighting Phils with my son Noah on opening
And
day.
he
So
also
he had a
caught
blast down there.
an NBA game too, right, Murph?
We did. We caught the Sixers playing, and they were playing the Clippers. And so went to that ball game. Clippers won it on not quite a last second shot, but the Sixers had a chance to win it with the last second shot that they didn't make. And then a bit of good fortune as well too. The Braves were staying in the same hotel as us, so I ran into Travis Darno, a wonderful old friend of ours, and he hugged my neck, and I got to see him. And then Noah, my oldest, took a picture with Travis, Michael Harris, and Austin Riley. And then he ran into Jimmy Harden in the hotel as well too, so got a picture with him. So he was over the moon. It was a great trip, and
Is
it
your
was
son a
really cool to
sports
do.
fan, Murph?
Yeah,
Is Noah?
yeah, he enjoys football and baseball, but baseball is taking the pole position more and more each day.
Well, you mentioned briefly before a big soccer aficionado. You would go to London to see the soccer games, right? When you
Yes.
before you, who's your favorite team again?
My favorite team is the Tottenham Hotspurs in North London. But the cool thing about London is since it's a tinier island, it just you can move so much and there's so many football clubs. So we would be able to come over and catch at least two, sometimes three matches within the city of London, or just that surrounding area. And then if you end up moving about and going a little bit further north to Liverpool or Manchester, it's only about a 2.5 hour train ride. So it's a good place. I enjoyed catching soccer matches over there.
And I remember when you play, you used to try to catch the games on TV whenever you could.
Yeah, we find our
Broadcast.
ways to leisure. You know what I mean? At either 1 o'clock or 7 o'clock, you got to go and hopefully perform productively. So we find our ways to leisure. One of mine was to watch soccer. Other people entertain me with their skills.
What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite restaurant in London?
Let's see. I have the hotel that we stayed at is I really enjoy. I don't know if we'll stay there this time, but just that kind of area. So the Connaught and the Mayfair area is one that we splurge on a little bit that I do enjoy staying there. I probably don't have a specific favorite restaurant that I hit each time, but I stay at the Connaught when I can.
What's nice about the London trip? You'll be reunited with another old teammate. Mr. Wright will be there with you, and Mookie. So the Mets will have a really good representation there. And did you follow any games from London last year when the Yankees played? I think I
Was it the
forget. Or
Cardinals? Was it the Cardinals Cubs
Cardinals,
last
right?
year? Or am I mistaken?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
I
Yankees a
just
couple of years ago.
loosely, not enough to maybe know specifically who won each, but enough to recognize the festivities going on over there and how well received the guys were. Because it's at Olympic Stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, 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 right,
That's where West
right.
Ham United plays their home matches.
Murph, do you follow the baseball? I mean, closely now. Now it should be, separate a little bit. Do you look at the box scores, or
I have so far, yeah, this season. Been able. I'm trying to follow it a little bit, probably more intently. paying attention than loosely. So, and it's easy right now. We're only 4 games into the season, so just at the
Yeah,
starting
yeah,
gate.
and I know without speaking out of turn, I know the people at SNY were really thrilled with your work, and maybe during the year we could see Danny Murphy on TV again.
Yeah, I talked to Matt Sanduli not long ago, and he said that they did enjoy the work, some of the work that I was able to do, and I was very appreciative. And also at the same time, any opportunity that comes up, I'd be excited to try and take it and see if it works out. Certainly.
Who's doing well on TV too is Curtis Granderson on
Hmm.
TBS. He does a great job the pre and post game. So there's two members of 2015 team. It's crazy, man. Can you believe next year, Murph, is 10 years since 2015? I can remember it yesterday. Each of your home runs in the playoffs. I remember something I'll never forget. And boom, 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 home run, home run, home run, and can we next year's gonna be 10 years? That's crazy, isn't it?
10 is crazy. I turned 39 yesterday. What day is it? Second? I turned 39
Happy
yesterday.
birthday.
Cheers, thank you. April Fool's, baby. It's not a joke. And yeah, as you say, 10 years being that close, it doesn't seem that long ago at all. It seems like just yesterday. Um,
What a
but
great one we had. I mean, if we had won the first game, it's funny, the last two World Series we lost in 2000, 2015, we lost the first game in extra innings. I just couldn't,
mhm.
I just couldn't recover from that. But the Chicago and LA, that's got to be, Murphy, are your kids old enough to remember what you did that postseason? I mean, do they know?
The My oldest Noah, he turned 10 2 days ago because his birthday is the day before mine, and so he's starting to kind of recognize a little bit that it looks like Dad could play a bit,
A little
and
bit.
then a little bit, well, more than Dad thought he was going to be able to play,
Yeah.
and then some of the highlight moments he's becoming a little bit more familiar with as well, and so actually it was cool. Tori just told him for the first time of the story about when she went into labor. I went down to West Palm and missed opening day, and then we had, well, I never went too far without like some sort of news media story. It just was kind of part of our career, and but she was
Let me say this,
explaining.
Murph. The people who criticized you got
Mhm.
criticized too.
Well, yes, and I would say that is yeah, and at the time it was our family's decision, but Tori was explaining it to Noah, and
Yeah,
you could see him just realize it was the first time he had ever heard it, even though
right.
he was an integral part of what went
Well,
took place being born. So she's been kind of talking to him about that, and it was
that's
an
great. It's a
opportunity
great
for
memory. You did your right things, Murph. I remember about our friendship is the plane ride we took with Tori to the first All Star game. That's right. I
hmm
was thinking about that the other day. That seems like ages and ages and ages ago.
Yeah, and that was only the year before, right? It was in
Right.
2014, but we ended up getting paused and switched, and my mom was there, and it was just, we got there and we had a good time. I know.
I remember one. I used to work the playoffs, and I was in charge of getting the players. I remember one particular postseason All Star game. I had to gather up you and Justin Turner played for different teams to do interviews. Well, my motto was once a Met, always a Met, Murph.
Yes, Swaggy. He's in Toronto right now. Saw him opening. I didn't see him personally, but just saw them down in Tampa.
You
Well,
know what his
Justin does
claim to
well.
fame is, Murph? He was the guy that got me started on Twitter.
Really?
Justin taught me the ins and out of Twitter. Always got me fired a couple of times, but
Well,
he was a guy who got me on the beaten way. And he's got a great Twitter presence, but he
yes, he
told me what
does.
to
Him,
do,
yeah,
what to
hmm
tweet, and everything.
him and his wife Courtney, they do very well on social media. Well, with
Yeah,
your Twitter account, Jay, you can't have an omelet without cracking a couple eggs, right? So got to
Murph, how
barrel
long have
through.
you known me, man? I've matured in my old age. One time we were in Colorado and I tweeted something. Have a sore throat. Going to stop by the drugstore to get some some marijuana. They say it helps. My cell phone lit up like a freaking whatever. You know what? You can't have fun, Murph, right?
Have
But
a
now
bay,
that
send it.
Murph, I've matured in my old age, though. I'm good, though, but
They were
listen,
funny.
you're a good
It's all
friend.
right.
I wish you all the success in the world, and thank you for your time, and good luck in London. Would it be fair to say I hope you beat Mr. Utley pretty good in the
I mean, at
Trafalgar
this
Trio?
point, if we're gonna go over there, we might as well try to beat him. I mean, he's probably gonna end up in Cooperstown, but I just played last year, so it should be
Well,
quite the
I
scuffle.
mean, what do you practice lifting the ball, Daniel? I mean, what do you do?
I just try to I've been hitting some baseballs, throwing them up and hitting them. And if you want to hit home runs, go practice hitting home runs. Yeah, so I have somebody throw me
Well,
baseballs and try to wall him.
Murph, my money be on you, my friend.
Oh well, cheers, Jay. Thank you.
And tell Tori I said hi, and I can't wait till I see you soon. And always thanks for the time, Daniel.
All right, Jay.